started running about 4.5 years ago. The reason I started running was that when I was 42, my husband and I did a few triathlons, and I always stuck to the novice triathlons because I was not too bad in the pool, I was okay on the bike, and then everybody in the Ranty passed me on the run. And I thought it was time I did something about that, so I joined the Forfar Road Runners. When I first started running, when I did my triathlons, I used to mainly swim and do a little bit of cycling and hardly any running. When I did my training for triathlons, a long run for me was a mile and a half, and I struggled with that. I really was useless. So I could never imagine myself running a 10k, let alone a marathon. And to now think that I've ran ultras, I'm pretty pleased.
What motivates me to run? Well, it's a really good way of exercising. No, I've enjoyed running for a few years, but since I've moved back to Forfar and joined the Road Runners, it's running with a club that really has inspired me to run. The person that's sort of inspired me and has not convinced me, but like inspired me to run like more at marathons and ultra marathons is Angie McKenzie. She's done numerous ultras and marathons this year for charity, and it's inspired me to do the same thing for the charity JDRF next year, which is a charity quite close to my heart, so yeah, that's why.
I used to be a smoker, so I gave up smoking and I put on a lot of weight, and then so I needed to do something to lose the weight, and then I got quite addicted to it. So that's my reason for doing it.
So you changed one addiction to another.
Exactly, yeah.
It was something to, like, being a mum with 4 kids, getting out of the house and doing something for me and just clearing the head and easing a bit of stress.
One of the reasons that I love running is that you see so much of the beautiful countryside, and one of our favourite spots is coming up to the Balmashanner War Memorial, which is at the top of a hill, and it's got many paths up to it, so we've got plenty of options for our hill reps.
I think to kind of see the best I can be, you know, if I could sort of, I guess, be a world champion one day, or you know, win big races, that's what motivates me. And it's kind of the first thing I've found that I'm really good at. So I guess once you're good at something, you start to, I guess, obsess over it in a way. So yeah, I guess that would be why. I get really agitated and frustrated if I can't train. I only take Christmas Day off. So yeah, it's an addiction, but it's a good addiction. This race, my dad did it back in 1992, so that's always been a bit of a motivation because he's done it. And day to day, just it's a couple of athletes, Jan Frodeno, who I look up to, and my coach Graham. He's always kind of motivated me as well. So.
My motivation for running is that it's a great way to socialise. I've made lots of friends through my running, friends from all over Scotland and some in England, and I have great weekends away with them on race days or training runs and just general meetups. I've made some really good friends. Through the running club we have a lot of social events, so it is a great way to get to know people, and it's also a great way of getting to see different places. I've been to places for races that I would never have normally visited, and you see lovely countryside and wildlife when you're out on your runs, so that's super. It's also a way of keeping fit. I feel that I'm fitter now than when I was 20, 30 years old.
Oh, I just set new challenges now. I've run since I was 25. I'm now 60. Hasten to but in the early days it was about roads and marathons and half marathons. Nowadays it's more diverse challenges like ultras, trail races. So yeah, it's about setting new challenges and new goals. I've done all the London marathons and Paris marathons and all that sort of stuff. Now it's a time now to set new challenges and do different things, tick different boxes.
The very first race I ever did was Manchester 10k back in 2012, and I guess it was just because I saw everyone doing it, such a huge event in Manchester, that I wanted to try it myself. But I got into running seriously last year, and I suppose it's just setting yourself a challenge and being able to overcome the challenge of completing something like a marathon. My next challenge is going to be my first ultra next year with Angie, which is the D33. So yeah, that's going to be the next one.
I've got a few challenges for next year. I've entered the Hoka Highland Fling, which is the first half of the West Highland Way, and it's 53 miles. And I'm waiting to hear. I've entered the West Highland Way, and I'll find out in December if I've been lucky enough to be chosen to run that race. If I am, I need to start serious training because it's 95 miles over the whole of the West Highland Way, and you get a 35-hour time limit to finish it. So it'll be full-on training. What makes me want to challenge myself even more? I think that when I first joined the running club, I was in awe of my friend Karen, who used to tell me about running 7 miles at the weekend. And I just thought, wow, 7 miles, how could anybody ever run 7 miles? I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And then when I started running myself and gradually built up my miles and entered these races, I thought, wow, I could go further. So yeah, you push yourself to see how much better you can do, how much further you can go. And actually, I think I've realised that I'm not too bad on the longer distance runs. I'm not a speedy runner, but I can keep going, just keep plodding. I think in general, people are keeping fitter and more aware of keeping healthy. And when the Olympics was in London, I think there was a general increase in lots of different physical activities. And there's more and more races and more publicity about races. The social media sort of spreads the word about running and the benefits of running and the fun in running. So I think that's influenced people to challenge themselves and take up new hobbies and keep fit at the same time.
I think there's obviously more health awareness. Everybody wants to be fitter, there's a more healthy lifestyle, trying to take on bigger challenges, more diverse challenges. And obviously it's not just running, but obviously hill walking, all sorts of ultra running, hill walking, that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's probably a spin-off for the road fraternity as well.
I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook that are specific to running, and that's a great way for me to get tips from experienced runners, to find out what races are coming up, to know when the entries are opening, because some of these races sell out really quickly and you've got to have your computer booted up to get in there. I think the Hoka Highland Fling race, 1,000 people had entered it in, I'm sure, less than 2 hours. So certainly social media side of that keeps you in touch. In Forfar Running Club, it's quite a small club. I think there were only maybe 35 to 40 people in the club a few years ago when I started. The membership has gradually increased, and I think at the moment we're just under 60. And we've had a few younger members coming in, which is nice.
We do tend to get more call-offs now and people are dropping out. I think that's down to the online entry, the electronic entry side of things. This race sells out within a couple of hours of the entries being open. So yeah, that's very, very popular. I think although the weather can be quite adverse, I think it's possibly the scenery and the local, the glen setting that actually is the big attraction.
I also use Facebook to post runs or cycles that I've done, share that with other people. They can see what the route's like, whether it's hilly or flat. And it's great for getting motivation from other runners. They give you encouragement and praise for your challenges that you've achieved. And in 2015, I've been doing quite a lot of different challenges, whether it's been running, cycling, triathlon, climbing Munros, and I've been doing that to raise money for the Highland Hospice. So I've been saving all my photographs of my different challenges with some little sort of notes and posting that on Facebook, and that's helped me with my fundraising. So far I've raised about just under £1,900 for Highland Hospice this year. So without the social media side of that, I wouldn't have raised nearly as much, I don't think. I think for ultras, it's important to build your endurance and make sure that you do long distance training. But I think also for a good, successful ultra runner, a lot of it is mental. You've got to have a really positive mental attitude. You've got to believe in yourself at the start. As soon as you start having doubts about things, your running deteriorates on a long run. So enjoy the scenery, enjoy the company, fuel up and keep positive. My training for longer races, the first time I ran a marathon, I was running for Macmillan, and they kindly gave me a little booklet that had a lot of good advice, and that gave me a guide on how often I should be running, how many miles, whether it should be a tempo run, a slow run, a fast run, or doing things like fartleks where you're going along slowly and then do a little sprint between, say, 2 lampposts or whatever. So I followed that plan pretty much for my first marathon, and it worked well. I found an online plan generator where you put in your distance and the date of your race, and it creates a little plan just giving you basic mileage and how many days you should be running and what your total mileage should be for the week. And I do sort of build it into my normal weekly training with the club. So Monday nights we typically do speed work, and in the summer we try and build in some hill work with that as well. But when I follow the plan, I do follow it loosely, and I tend to build in a lot more cycling than some other people, and that helps to reduce my risk of injuries. And instead of doing very long runs, I would maybe go for a long run in the morning and then maybe a 30-mile cycle in the evening, so that I'm splitting my training up that way. So it gives me an idea of where I should be distance-wise and time-wise. But for the ultra running, a lot of it is about time on feet rather than speed and endurance. This is the Reach Park, and we come here on Monday nights during the summer and we do our speed training. So we do loops around the park and we do different sort of relay sets up the hill. It might not look like much of a hill, but the top part of the park is a bit steeper. Got to do slow runs, tempo runs and HIIT training, high intensity, till you can't speak.
I didn't really train specifically for this event. I'm a triathlete, so I'm kind of training all the time, but this week I did about 4 runs, 2 of them a bit quicker, just to kind of prepare for the faster work. So yeah. During a week I run probably every day, 7 days a week, between sort of maybe 50 to 90 kilometers, depending on how much training I'm doing, usually. In the winter, I do a bit of gym work, some weights and some sort of mountain running. I guess that's a little bit different, but usually just the 3 because they take up so much time, so yeah.